Welcome, welcome. You listen to 360 Info. I'm your host, Antonio. What you do for yourself depends on what you think of yourself. And what you think of yourself depends on what you know of yourself. And what you know of yourself depends on what you've been told of yourself. Although it's rainy in Cleveland and cloudy, but we're going to brighten this whole hour up for you. We got a great show for you today. I got one of my special guests that is coming in on August 7th. She's on the line, Professor Bayyinah Bello. We're going to be chopping it up and continuing our conversation from a few weeks past. It's some great questions still I want to ask her. She's a dynamic sister. Just by chatting with her, I just can feel her spirit. It's going to be great to have her come to Cleveland, to come to town and partake in this particular wonderful event on August 7th. Definitely block out that date. You want to be there August 7th with Dr. Whitaker, Dr. Brown, Wayne Chandler, and the sister, the Professor Bayyinah Bello. It's going to be a great time. And on the phone and out of town, we got Brother Vince. Brother Vince, what's going on?
Hey, it's just a beautiful day on the North Coast, and glad to be alive and kicking right now. All good on the end. Just a quick announcement. I just want to let everybody know about a beautiful program that's going to be coming up at Larchmere Arts on the 20th of August. So we got about 3 or 4 weeks before we get into it. But I'm going to be welcoming Ken LeGrand, saxophonist Ken LeGrand of the group Horns and Things, to the Larchmere Arts stage. We're going to do a concert. It'll be a trio with myself, my drummer, Rashawn Lamar Blake, and Ken LeGrand. So stay tuned. Visit the Larchmere Arts Facebook page for that, and you'll be able to get more details. If you want to get your advance ticket, you can just cash at me, and that's $THA Soul Poet, THA Soul Poet, and you can reserve your seat for this beautiful concert. We just got the walls painted at Larchmere Arts, so we're going to be freshening it up and putting some artwork on the wall, and hopefully by then our artist from Ghana, Jerry, will be here, and he will have his exhibition in full effect. So that's what we have going on at Larchmere Arts, and stay tuned for developments. We are really pleased to welcome to 360 Info Network Professor Bayyinah Bello. She's a world-renowned historian with expertise in Haitian and Pan-African history. She's also well-known for being a teacher, writer, and humanitarian worker who early in her career spent 15 years living and traveling in West Africa, including 4 years in Nigeria, as well as Benin and Togo and other countries in the region. So she's got quite an impressive resume, and a lot of it is in French. And since I don't speak French, I'm not even going to attempt to butcher those words. I will let her fill us in on the subject matter as it relates to the French language. Welcome to 360 Info Network, Professor Bayyinah Bello.
Thank you, Brother Lynn. How are you?
All right, sister, I am good. Good to hear from you. It's always a pleasure to be in contact. I'm just so thankful to have made this acquaintance with you, and excited, you come in to meet you face to face, and so we can get a chance to hobnob a little bit on some things, And I know our sister audience and is going to love to have you here, So it's great. But we left off on our last conversation. And, something I want to touch on, especially on this particular segment. And I'm back on linguistics, because that's something that for years, it got to be 15 to 20 years, that in the back of my mind, I always thought about that was the key to unlocking a lot of the confusion about religion, about, the geographical areas of different ethnic people, on how they're connected. And you got a master's degree in linguistics, and you're fluent in about 5 languages, including the Hausa language that's from the Nigerian area. What are some of the things that, by you studying, what intrigued you, for number one, to get into linguistics, and what are some of the things that you have found that can kind of connect the people that you think is pretty interesting about been studying languages and got you really involved into that?
Okay. I guess from pretty young, I love to play with words. And then when I decided I would go into linguistics, I realized, okay, language is how you speak, but linguistics is how language are constructed. It's how it works. That's what you study then. For example, if we take the Arabic language, as I know most of us think when we say Arabic, it's not African, but that's one of the African languages. It's one of our creations. And when you take the Arabic language from the oldest structure of the Arabic language, today a lot of things are changing, but from the oldest structure, you always begin a conjugation with he, she, never with I. So when a people think that way, that he came first, you came second, and I came third. So the third person in conjugation is I. So then you don't put yourself as, the it of it all. You have a whole different frame mind. It sets your mind, it shapes your mindset differently when you study a language that put he, she first. And they have a logic to it. Everything that we see was created by a he, she that we didn't meet. So he, she came first, did a whole lot of stuff. Then there is the you that is across from me. And then there is me, last element of the picture. So it's a totally different mindset. When we look at how we greet, how words, our sentences are constructed, all of this tells you more about a people's behavior, a people's mindset, than anything, all the philosophy that we could write. We could sit down and write a whole lot of wonderful, marvelous things. We could greet each other by saying, peace be unto you, and then my weapon is always there and I'm ready to slaughter you. So these are words. But when we look at the mindset, that's when we really get into, and that's what linguistics enables you to do, to look at how we structure things. And so that's where when I look at a different languages, then you could see, you take the French language, for example. It's one of its primary grammatical rules says the masculine always has priority over the feminine. So even if you have 10,000 women in a room and one tiny little baby boy, you still have to say the they that you will use is masculine. One tiny boy, 10,000 women, and the boy is more important than now. If you look at it in the Bible, you will see so many times they say so-and-so was in the presence of 5,000 people, not counting women and children. You see, it tells you the minds of the people, the linguistics. It enables you to see how the person views the different actors of life. If you look at any, if you're listening to any griot in Africa telling you about the story, the biography of a personality, they always start with, it was a rainy day, it was a dark, windy night, or it was a beautiful whatever. But the first thing, they tell you what the weather was like, what time it was. Because time is the greatest actor of any history. Time determines. If you and I have a meeting in the park and it starts to rain, then we'll have to change our meeting place because there's no meeting in the park when it's pouring down rain. So the climate will determine what we can do and what we can't do. So that's the number one actor. But he's usually absent in the, you a Christian, narratives.
Mm-hmm.
Starts with the general, the president, the king. Whereas, if you listen carefully to our narratives in Africa, if the people was such and such, the people of the village were blah 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 blah, and they did and they that, and then the king, and then the this, and then the other one came. But in other people's narrative, always the top guy, top cookie, who's on top.
Okay. Speaking of narratives, we have to take a break so that our sponsors can narrate their stories to the listening audience. You're listening to 360 Info Network on AM 1490 WERE with Antonio and yours truly, Ben Robinson. Our guest this morning is Professor Bayyinah Bello, who will be here on August 7th for a very special program that you will hear more about. We'll be right back right after these words from our sponsors.
Hi, Chuck Conway Jr. here for Annie P's Black Wall Street Cafe, located at 3216 East 93rd Street in the Kinsman Shopping Plaza. Check out Annie P's current down-home specials. Every day get all-you-can-eat breakfast buffet for only $10.99. Every Tuesdays and Thursdays get whole chicken wings for only $1. And every Wednesday get two pieces of chicken for only $1. That's Annie P's Black Wall Street Cafe, East 93rd and Kinsman Avenue. Open Tuesdays through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., Friday and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Sundays 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Give them a call at area code 216-429-2356. The number once again, area code 216-429-2356. Down home soul food cooking at Annie P's Black Wall Street Cafe in the Kinsman Square Shopping Plaza, East 93rd and Kinsman Avenue. And when you get there, tell them Chuck Fast Talking, Slow Walking, Conway Jr. sent you.
Hi, I am Frances Caldwell, Executive Director of the African American Museum, welcoming you to join us as we continue to rebuild, grow, develop, and help the community. In addition to the rich historical exhibits we have, we are offering community education, cultural opportunities to enhance our children, including free dance and business classes. The African American Museum celebrates over 60 years as America's oldest independent Black museum. And as our founder, Ichabod Llewellyn, intended, we are heading for higher heights and renewed community education, history, and culture. You can contribute to the success of this valued institution by becoming a member. To make your $35 yearly membership pledge, Cash App $AAMCLE. For more information, please visit our website at aamcle.org or call 216-721-6555. Thank you for your support of Cleveland's African American Museum.
Greater Cleveland's largest selection of African fashions, African art, jewelry, picture frames, and African furniture accessories from the heart of Africa are located at African Art, 16700 Chagrin Boulevard, Shaker Heights, Ohio. Give them a call at 216-269-7421. Enjoy their spacious showroom and gallery and enhance yourself and your home with African art and cultural clothing, fine art, home, and personal accessories. For a limited time, for our 360 Information Network listeners, for every $50 purchase, receive a free handcrafted African fabric mask for personal wear. Our quality is impeccable and our inventory will meet your need. Open Mondays through Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Enhance your life with African art.
We're back. 360 Info Network with Antonio and Vince Robinson. Our guest this morning is Professor Bayyinah Bello, and we will get right back to the conversation. Professor?
Yes, sir. So basically, we were saying that linguistics enables you to understand the mindset of people. The So you know when you're dealing with a violent people, when you're dealing with patriarchy, when you're dealing with anti-women mentality, it's all in the grammatical rules of the various languages. It's all in the structure of their languages. And many times, racism, all of that is inscribed. And even when when we are speaking other people's language, we are racist against ourselves.
Okay.
We use terms like, this person is evil, he's got a black heart, he's black this and black that. These are racist terms that we use against ourselves because we're using other people's mental structures. We're using their mindset to speak. We're not speaking our own. Simple. In Haiti, for example, in our culture, Haitian cultures use the sun as a feminine entity. So all of our songs, everything traditional about the sun talks about she did this, she's a queen, she did this and she did that, and she's the mother and she's our mother, etc., etc. But when we speak French, we go against all that because the sun becomes masculine. And the sun is a general, and the sun burns, and the sun destroys. It's totally different thing.
Yeah, Sister Bello.
Speaking Haitian, we have one worldview, and when we're speaking French, it's a totally different worldview. And it's in opposition to what we normally live from within.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. So what you find, a people can find themselves in conflict then with themselves and dealing with the language and spewing out certain verbiages and frequencies that is in direct opposition to who they are in their culture. So what you're saying here, you kind of open up a whole nother way of looking at this thing here. And so obviously then that language, when a people is controlling their own language, that kind of spews out into the culture and the way of life, the norms, the values, on how a people does things and operate in that community. Is that pretty much how it kind of transposes itself into the community?
Because language is first a mindset. Before it is words, it is a mindset. That's why you will have that somebody could live in the United States for 30 years, and people will always say, oh, she speaks with a heavy accent. It's not a heavy accent. She has not. In her mindset has remained what she came home with. And she has learned the words of the English language, but she's not structured her mind. He's not being restructured. Whereas somebody else, in just a few months, has a totally different way of using the English language. And you would think she's been here 20 years, but she's not. But her mind has been totally taken over. And now she will speak her own language with an accent, speak the foreign language almost as if she was born here. So language is a very important element. It determines a lot. Example, in the French culture, women don't do this, women don't do this, women don't do that. In the Haitian culture, from our cosmogonic, our own cosmos, cosmic view, women is power. If we take the various laws in Haiti, we will look at Granny Boulele, who is the memory of the entire humanity, of all of humanity. We take Gran Ezuli. We take Gran Alumanja, the most powerful warrior of all warriors, who trained all the male warriors in Brazil. So all the Grans, which means grandmother, by the way, Gran, the Grans are the most powerful people in the structure, in our mental structure. So the older female person, the older female entity is the most powerful entity. Whether you're talking about war or medicine or creating structures or, of course, memory, nothing happens without memory. Once you forget. So it's the grandmother who holds the memory of humanity. And so when you know about voodoo and then you look at the Haitian Revolution and you see, all the men and all the women were present doing what they're supposed to do. That was our natural mindset. It didn't occur to us that there was something that women could not do. When you look at the fighting team of Marie-Jeanne, who was a woman running a 1,000 women troop, no men in her troop. They didn't need men for nothing. Many of the troops had men and women, but in her troops, it's exclusively women. And that was the most powerful team in the nation. Well, when they wrote the narrative, the historical narrative in French, she is iced out. She's not part of the picture. She never existed. And her 1,000 women troops are erased. They couldn't deal with the power of these women. But when you look at voodoo and you look at the history, the beginning, we were acting according to our own mindset. It was natural. It was normal. The children had their roles to play in the revolution. That is normal. And we had the language, we had the mindset, the language, and the actions in harmony. Now, once we structured this French so-called society, where they removed all women in 1811, all women were iced out of the running of the country. It became a whole French thing, and only people who knew how to speak French could have a position and blah, 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 blah. Then you see how Haiti started going backward. So you have two countries. You have those who only speak Haitian, and they have one way of living. And then you have all the Frenchy folks, who have a totally different way of living and the whole different frame of reference, the whole, these are women who sit home and paint their fingers and lips and, hey, they don't believe they can.
Wow, that's, what, sister, that is very, very interesting. And it kind of dates back to, when we read our ancient history, or you look at Egypt or how they understood the balance, you know what I mean, and the matriarchal system that's in Africa. And you can see how that particular type of mentality has kind of taken over the planet, with their control of everything, you know what I mean? And I remember something that Dr. Henry Clark said, and it stuck with me. And he said, this society as we know of will never work until we put the woman where she belongs. And that right. Statement stuck with me because I looked at it in the sense of balance. Everything on the planet has balance, male and female entity. So, and that's the problem, I have to say this, that I had with the church years ago, because they kept the woman in the back seat. She couldn't be in the pulpit. Just recently that she was able, last 10, 15, 20 years in the pulpit, nothing of her in the Bible, even when she was supposedly carrying Jesus, she didn't have too much to say and things. So and we don't look, as we so ingrained in this society right now, we don't look at that as being a problem.
Exactly.
They have taken over our minds, So, Brother Vince, you still there?
Yes, I am. I'm enjoying the conversation, brother.
Okay. All right. That's good. But you gave me really something to think about, and you kind of like self-validated, to me, the importance of linguistics, and how it affects the people. And I was watching a video of yours when you talked about how, by adapting someone's language on how you now are seeing the things in their viewpoint, in their eyesight. And it could be very different, like you just explained, from your own innate way of doing some things and your culture and things like that. So that's very important, and it's very heavy, sister. I really enjoy that.
Let me give you one more example. Women as protectors, as defenders of nations, and as protectors of rulers was way back then. For example, in Benin, in Dahomey, the female army of Dahomey was the only army that protected the capital city and protected the king. They wouldn't allow, none of the male generals were not allowed to enter the space of the king with weapons. They had to leave their weapons out. But females walked around with their weapons always. Now, when we look at the structure of Dahomey and the female army of Dahomey, and then we come to more modern periods, we look at Castro. Castro survived over 600 attempts to kill him, to assassinate him. But Castro's security was all female. Gaddafi's security was all female until 2 years before what happened, before the end. And the 2 years earlier, he entered 3 male into his security, and it is, from what I understand, through one of them that season occurred. So, as we look at one of the explanations we find in Dahomey is that when a woman is given the task ensuring the security of someone, she views this someone as her baby. It's not the king that she's protecting. This is her baby. So anybody who comes to attack her baby will have to kill her first. You're not going to get to her baby.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things, that's the mental structure of that woman who defends someone, who's there to protect someone. Whereas when males are protecting another man, when there is a threat, everybody looks for their own protection. And one of our best pictures is John F. Kennedy. We saw how all his security guys went into their own protection when they heard the guns, the shotguns.
Mm-hmm.
If we look at that video again, you will see it.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things that we have to learn from our history. As Dr. Wade Noble says, learn your history and it will erase the mysteries. You will know how to make a better tomorrow when you study the past, when you are enlightened the lights of the past. That's what the importance of history is.
Yeah.
So those who did learn know how to protect themselves better.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
So, based on what you just shared with us, I have to beg this question. You've indicated that women have played a pivotal role in terms of war, specifically with relation to the history of Haiti. But probably you could translate that over to the continent of Africa, and you could probably also translate it here to America. In light of all that you shared with us, what can we do to create a greater sense of awareness or knowledge of this our story, as you said in the previous broadcast that we did, and how can we become empowered by fully understanding history as it rolled out?
Well, the principle is the same. We say know yourself. Okay? If you know yourself, then you can value yourself, you can love yourself, and you can better direct your future. Well, the same is true for anything. So why do people have how have they created this perception of women being incapable of and not qualified to and not deserving of? Because they've removed you from history.
Mm-hmm.
So even your child that you a single parent, a single mother, you're working hard, you're doing everything for this boy that you have, you're paying his schools, you're going without food to feed him, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then the society has plays in his mind, the language set his mindset. And at some point he looks at you, you're just my mother. You don't know nothing. I know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then person's wife, well, they might not have reached a point where they would hit their mom, but they definitely hit the woman that they're living with. Because they have such absent knowledge of anything of value of women. Because anyway, all the work that a woman does at home for the children, for the husband, for this, is not valued. It's just what you got to do. That's what you come on this earth for.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do something else, you could even be blamed for that. What? My mother is out doing research. What kind of thing is this? Abandoning her children. But if the man goes out to explore another planet, he's not abandoning anybody.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, you can see that all up in you can, that cold nomadic hemisphere up in Europe, you can tell that type of mentality. If you just study the European history, they really had no regard for the female counterpart at all, and she was looked upon as nothing. It was all the men type of situation, and you see that expression everywhere that they have went. They have taken that type of expression, and something, when we talk about Haiti and we talk about the Haitian Revolution, something that I always say that's something I got from our dear brother Professor Small, who was speaking on it, talking about that we should be studying at that particular time when they went up against the French. What did they use, in order to defeat that army? Like if a football team win the championship, you can be like, hey, man, coach, what did you do? What combination did you use to pull that off? So to see small Haiti take on one of the largest armies on the planet, we should be trying to study that. What did they do? That should be the question, because we definitely need some help right now.
Yes. Allow me to just make a small correction.
Okay.
We beat up the Spaniards, the British, the French. 3 armies in order to become independent. Okay? But more importantly, let me say, if we look at the 60s and 70s in the United States, think of each of the major black organizations. Who was at the head of each one? See if you could think of who. Who was at the head of the Black Panthers? I'm not talking about the speaker.
Okay.
Speaking out for the Black Panther. Who is at the head? Who is at the head of the Republic of Africa? Who is at the head? Women were. Do you know that most people don't even know that?
Yeah. You're talking to one.
Absolutely erased.
Okay.
Haiti has had, in the 80s, a female president. Most people don't even remember, and I'm talking about 80s, right? Most people don't remember. When you mention her name, it's, oh, that's right. Because the whole of this society, because of the languages that we use, the mindset is established that women don't exist, but as toys for men. So if we are not conscious of it, you will see many, it's like the last elections or the one before last in the U.S., People were saying, oh, they're going to have, I said never. The United States cannot have a female president. They will not elect a female president. Their mindset is just not there. Remember what they did to Shirley Chisholm? Like
Somewhat.
female to run for president of the United States. Yes. Okay. So most people are totally unaware. Because even when you live certain segment of actuality, you live it in the present, but the mental structure is such that you will swiftly erase it. It didn't happen. Huey Newton, everybody knows H. Rap Brown, but who was at the head of these two? Right now, her name escapes. See how powerful that thing is.
We have just a couple of moments before we go to break, but I just wanted to rewind a little bit and talk about or address that issue of how the Haitians were able to defeat the three armies that you talked about. Brother Antonio brought up his colleague and our colleague, Professor Small, and Professor Small equates our success in that to voodoo. So could you elaborate more on the spiritual connection that the people of Haiti had and how they empowered themselves with that in order to bring about that defeat?
Now, I say that we created three tools that guaranteed our victory. The number one tool is our own cosmic view, which is what is called voodoo today. And so we created a new mindset of how we look at the cosmos. We were not into the French, the British, the Spanish. We had our own, number one. Number two, we created a language of our own. So we created how we would say what we want to say, what we view in our head. And automatically that you create those two, the third tool is in functioning in the way you do what you do, you will do it as original as your mindset and your language. So that's why we were able to take decisions that the French would never dream of, like having a full 1,000 female troop. It's, something that frightens French. Having, like under King Henry, a female general at the head of the army. That would blow any European away. Okay? So those, if we just say voodoo, we limit what we're saying. We have to understand that the voodoo structured our mindset. So every thought we had was our own original thought as to how to look at the situation. And then we had our own language to express it in our own way, which is why we could sing La Reine Soleil levé, bon Dieu voyez l'aller. And we put a lot of our strategies and artistries into songs. So education just flew around like wildfire. Because all you had to do is sing it and you knew it. Once you learned the song, you knew what was going on.
Right.
With that type of...
Yeah, we're just getting to the power of words and the power of thought, and one of the most prevalent and significant natural laws is the idea that the universe is mental. And I'm just thinking that folks back then decided that this is a war that we are going to win, and they wouldn't accept anything less. This is very powerful testimony about our history and about our ability to rebound from adversity. You're listening to 360 Info Network right here on AM 1490 WERE with Antonio and yours truly, Vince Robinson. Our guest is Professor Bayyinah Bello. She is the author of Sheroes of the Haitian Revolution. Very interesting conversation indeed. We'll be right back with more of 360 Info Network right after these messages.
Hi, Chuck Conway Jr. here for NEP's Black Wall Street Cafe, located at 3216 East 93rd Street in the Kinsman Shopping Plaza. Check out NEP's current down-home specials. Every day get all-you-can-eat breakfast buffet for only $10.99. Every Tuesdays and Thursdays get whole chicken wings for only $1. And every Wednesday get two pieces of chicken for only $1. That's NEP's Black Wall Street Cafe, East 93rd and Kinsman Avenue. Open Tuesdays through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., Friday and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Sundays 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Give them a call at area code 216-429-2356. The number once again, area code 216-429-2356. Down home soul food cooking at Annie P's Black Wall Street Cafe in the Kinsman Square Shopping Plaza, East 93rd and Kinsman Avenue. And when you get there, tell them Chuck Fast Talking, Slow Walking, Conway Jr. sent you.
Hi, I am Frances Caldwell, Executive Director of the African American Museum, welcoming you to join us as we continue to rebuild, grow, develop, and help the community. In addition to the rich historical exhibits we have, we are offering community education, cultural opportunities to enhance our children, including free dance and business classes. The African American Museum celebrates over 60 years as America's oldest independent black museum. And as our founder, Ichabod Llewellyn, intended, we are heading for higher heights and renewed community education, history, and culture. You can contribute to the success of this valued institution by becoming a member. To make your $35 yearly membership pledge, Cash App $AAMCLE. For more information, please visit our website at aamcle.org or call 216-721-6555. Thank you for your support of Cleveland's African American Museum.
Greater Cleveland's largest selection of African fashions, African art, jewelry, picture frames, and African furniture accessories from the heart of Africa are located at African Art, 16700 Chagrin Boulevard, Shaker Heights, Ohio. Give them a call at 216-269-7421. Enjoy their spacious showroom and gallery and enhance yourself in your home with African art and cultural clothing, fine art, home, and personal accessories. For a limited time, for our 360 Information Network listeners, for every $50 purchase, receive a free handcrafted African fabric mask for personal wear. Our quality is impeccable and our inventory will meet your need. Open Mondays through Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Enhance your life with African art.
We're back, 360 Info Network with Antonio Vince Robinson and our guest, Professor Bayyinah Bello. She's a renowned historian with expertise in Haitian and Pan-African history, and she's giving us all the details on the Haitian Revolution and how they were successful in fighting off the French, the British, and the Spaniards through their view of cosmology and their understanding of the universe. Professor Bello, welcome back to 360. Brother Antonio, you are having a special program on August 7th, so let's refresh the minds of the listeners as to what's going to happen and how they can take part.
Yes, again, the spirit that's, hit me with understanding and knowing that, hey, and paying attention, that the energy on the planet has changed and things are going on, and we've been keeping a watchful eye on the attitudes and the mindset of people on the planet. And so Brother Wayne, which is going to be a part of it, he always used to talk about we have to ready ourselves for this new coming energy in order to get us out of there. So I knew that my people tend to hold on to a lot of negative drama and a lot of negative issues, that keep us from our God consciousness. So I decided to put a program together consisting of Dr. Quad David Whitaker, Dr. James Brown, Wayne B. Chandler, and yours truly, Professor Bayyinah Bello, to come in and talk to us and talk to us in ways that we can understand on how, just holding on to this energy is affecting us from the physical, spiritual, emotional, and cosmically. So how we need to better ourselves and ready ourselves for, the coming future of getting rid of this negative energy and start this healing process as people and reuniting with family and community so we can, because we may need to pull together at one point in time, either in family or community, because people want their country back. Some people think they're in a revolution. And just to end on saying that, was it Sacramento a few days ago where they caught these folks trying to blow up the Democratic Party? They're serious about what they're doing. So we need to let go some of this petty drama that's been separating us. So August 7th, doors open at 1 o'clock. Okay. Hope to get going sometime between 1 and 2. Come on down. This is Atonement Healing Wellness Workshop. It costs us $10. I wish it could be free, because we all need this in this time. And so come on down. And for those who understand why we need this, and bring somebody with you, and that you think may understand, because we're going to educate ourselves. We're going to have a few spiritual leaders available to where if you want to go on to a breakout session with a Muslim imam or Yoruba priest or a Baptist priest and start your healing journey, you can do so. So it's going to be a great event that and actually I don't think nothing has been done like this in Cleveland. So let's be a part of this and maybe something we can do on a regular basis and take on the road. And that's going to be at Wings Academy, August 7th, at 10615 Lamatier. And you can give me a call if you're interested, 216-323-6155, 216-323-6155.
Professor Bello, I wanted to ask you, based on what you know about Haiti and maybe your connection to what's going on right now, their president was assassinated a few weeks ago. And we also have this continuing saga of the relationship of Haiti to France. I don't know if Haiti is still paying money to France or not, but could you comment on the current political state and why it seems that our brothers and sisters in Haiti cannot really catch a break on the world economic and financial and political stage?
All right. Haiti is the richest country in the Americas. And I signed it. We are the richest historically. We are the richest spiritually. We are the richest in resources, whether it's petrol, diamond, bauxite, iridium, I don't know. The list is long. So, while we, at the end of the war, like we often do, that's one of our weak points, all of us across the planet. After independence, we sort of wanted to dance. Independence, da 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 da. The war is over, and let's dance now. While we were doing this, the ferocious genociders just made new plans for new forms of wars. And that is what they do continually. Mm-hmm. One of the things you might want to get, one of the documents you might want to get a hold of is called the Imperialist Charter. They have written down how they're going to deal with black people after independence. So if we don't read, if we don't know, so while war is being raised upon us, our people are dancing carnival. Our people are, going to church, taking, things that they think. Life is beautiful. Go to to the beach. We do, and that's been going on for the past 217 years. They war on us. We only have very few leaders. Definitely knew that war was over, but the war was not over. Christophe knew that war was over, but the war was not over. Then after we go to school, to their schools, we go to their church, we go to recite their philosophy, Greek and Latin and French and U.S. and U.K., whatever. As we recite all of this, we become non-Haitian and none, whatever it is we have adopted. We're not that either. If you're not yourself, you're nothing. That's the reality. I can't become. I could try. I could pretend. I could speak French, and I could dress French. I could eat French. I could drink wine. But it will not make me a French woman. So that is what's going on. And sometimes that war is more evident. Sometimes it's less evident. But it's going on for the planet. Haiti is just the forefront country for many reasons that we might not have the time to get into. But the same people who killed Lumumba, the same people who killed Sankara, the same people who killed a leader, could be killed for two reasons in our nation. Number one, and most obvious, and generally short-term are people who want to do for their people will quickly be slaughtered. And number two are people who submit and then at some point seems to have a hesitation in the quickness of response when the master tells them. So the master gets vexed and you are slaughtered.
Okay. Professor Bello, that was a very response.
Let me just add this. Always,
we got 30
the
seconds.
slaughtering will be particular. Because it's not you they're slaughtering. They actually want to slaughter the mind of all those looking at your being slaughtered so they stop you from wanting to do anything.
Exactly. Professor Bello, we got to wrap things up. We're about to go off the air in just a few moments, but we want to definitely thank you for providing the insight that you have this morning, and we want to welcome our listeners to join you and Professor Chandler, as well as Dr. Brown and David Wicker, Dr. Whitaker at Wings Academy on the 7th of August. Thanks for joining us on 360 Info Network. We'd also like to thank our listening audience for tuning in. Don't forget, you can check us out on Facebook, on our 360 Info Network Facebook page, and follow Larchmere Arts as well. With all that said, we'd like to also thank our engineer, Tristan Sanchez. And again, thank you for listening. Know yourself, love yourself, be yourself. Make today your absolute best day. Peace.
Peace.
The proceeding was a paid program brought to you by Lynn Hampton.